Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening as well. And a warm welcome from Alliance Insurance Brokers. Thank you so much for taking out your time for this webinar. Um, I think, yes. So I'm really thankful to Mrs. Anamika Roy Rashtravar for being the guest for this webinar, and she's on the panel along with Atul and Mrs. Gauri Jaraman. So I'll quickly introduce the panelists to you. Yeah, so first we'll go with Mrs. Anamika, and Mrs. Anamika Roy Rashtravar is the MD and CEO of IFCO Tokyo General Insurance Company Limited. She joined IFCO Tokyo in June 2018 as a whole-time board member. Mrs. Anamika has 3 decades of experience in general insurance industry in India and has served in both public and private general insurance companies. She has held various leadership positions in her previous assignments and is well recognized as an industry thought leader and specializes in insurance distribution. She is a postgraduate in English from Kolkata University, fellow of the Insurance Institute of India, and a chartered property casualty underwriter from the Institute's USA, and is a Chevening scholar. Besides being a practicing insurance professional, she regularly teaches in many institutes and is mentor to many budding industry professionals. With this, ma'am, I'm really thankful to you for taking out your time. You are most welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now I'll introduce you to Mr. Atul Thakkar. Atul is the co-founder and director at Alliance Insurance Brokers. A chartered accountant by qualification, Atul has experience spanning over 18 years in the insurance industry. Atul has been instrumental in expanding Alliance's presence in 14 cities in India with over 400 employees, 3,500 corporate customers, and premium placement of over USD 151 million US dollars. Alliance is the 4th largest full-service insurance brokers in India. His in-depth understanding of the sector and futuristic views has helped him bring an innovation in Alliance's business. His vision of business expansion and building the blue ocean strategies has made Alliance Insurance stand apart amidst its peers. Thank you, Atul. Thanks for taking out your time for the webinar.
Thank you, Samir, and thank you, Anamika ma'am, for being here.
Now I'll introduce you to Mrs. Gauri Jaraman. Gauri ma'am is sitting with me, and she is director on the board of Alliance Insurance Brokers, and she has experience of over 40 years in Indian insurance industry. And she has been with Alliance for the last over 10 years rather. And she is heading the technical department for Alliance, which means that she heads underwriting, placements, and claims. Thank you very much for taking out your time.
It's my pleasure, and thanks once again to Anamika and others for joining in.
Now, I'm welcoming all of you for taking out your time on this working day. It's for most of you, it's afternoon because most of our guests are from Asia Pacific. And I'm really thankful to you, though it's a working day for you, and during these working hours, you have taken out your time for this webinar. A very warm welcome to all of you from Alliance Insurance Brokers and India. So now we'll move to our presentation. The webinar is on the insurance, international insurance or international business in India. I would request for the slides on the screen, please. So we have divided this webinar into 3 parts. The first part is on the IIB. I'm sure all of you here on the call have your global clients, your multinational clients with India operations, and you are responsible for their insurance, or if you are a risk manager, then you are also responsible for placing this business in India. And for the last 1.5 years, you would have seen a drastic increase in the premium rates in India. So we would like to hear from the panelists on their view on the IIB rating. Then we will take you through the next part, which is on the Indian interest abroad. That is Indian multinational companies investing outside of India and what kind of opportunities they are seeking from global underwriters and global brokers. Last but not the least is our clients speak, wherein few of our clients will play a video on the clients about their experience with Alliance Insurance Brokers and the value added services being provided by Alliance. So with this, I'll start my presentation. Next slide, please. Next slide. So IIB is a stand for, next slide, please. So IIB is Insurance Information Bureau. So I'll quickly take you through the journey, like what happened and what transpired, how IIB came into force, and how the guiding rates provided by the IIB increased the premium in Indian market for property insurance. So in 2007, India decided to de-tariff insurance. This was the time when insurance companies were allowed to rate a risk according to their understanding of the risk, according to their actuarial practices. But then government realized soon after that we don't have a centralized data point wherein data from all insurance companies gets recorded, all brokers gets recorded. So the government, the Indian regulator rather, they decided to create a department by the name of Insurance Information Bureau in the year 2003, which was supposed to be a data collator or data reservoir on pricing, on solvency margins and reserving. So the major domain of IIB are property, engineering, health, motor and life insurance. But say after de-tariffing happened in 2007 till the year 2017, we saw a lot of bloodbath in Indian insurance market. Premiums, insurance premium rates fell down drastically. Rather, they went down to 99%. So, and books of insurance companies started bleeding. So the regulator decided to again step in. This was the year 2017 when they came up with the concept of burning cost for 109 occupancies, and they kind of advised the insurance companies to follow those rates. But this was the first step, and this was not a very successful attempt by the regulator. Soon insurance companies went back to the same old competition, and again there was quite stiff competition. But then after almost 1.5 years, in December 2018, government introduced rates for natural catastrophe risks. So this was only for certain perils that government decided to rate or to put a tariff for all insurance companies, and it was made mandatory. But then soon after that, government decided to add 8 occupancies which were highly loss-making, and they introduced a tariff for 8 occupancies. So you can see that government after 2017 continuously, when I say government, it means actually the regulator, which is controlled by Government of India, Ministry of Finance. But the regulator was always trying to do something or the other to ensure that the loss-making underwriting it does not happen in India. But finally, in the year to 2020, rather from 1st of January 2020, that is last year, GIC, which is the national reinsurer, decided to introduce IIB rate, which were mandatory for all insurance companies to follow in India. What happened after that was quite dramatic in India because the premium rates, property premium rates went up from, for certain risks, it went up from 2x and to 7x for certain risks. So obviously, suddenly the clients started feeling pressure on their balance sheet. And soon after this, 1st of February, similar circular came for marine cargo. So this is the background, and now the reality is that yes, the premium rates are higher as compared to say 2019. But yes, each and everything has its own pros and cons. With this, I will take a pause and ask question to Mrs. Anamika on this. So, ma'am, I have a question for you on IIB. So, as IIB rating does not differentiate between a good risk and a bad risk, how IFFCO Tokyo ensures that the good risks are rewarded while you may or may not penalize a bad risk?
Currently, see, IFFCO Tokyo distinguishes good or bad risk by way of choosing the business. IIB rate has nothing to do with it. Okay, because in IIB rate, there is no scope that if a client wants to opt for a higher deductible or there is some kind of discount methodology, that does not apply. So what we have consciously done is we choose a risk based on our experience over so many years and accordingly rate. Point one. Point two, we are also like anybody else. I don't think that's different where IFFCO Tokyo is concerned regarding giving some specialized risk management services. In fact, we are proposing that now for many of our clients, maybe 1st September, October, you will come, we will be talking to you as well. But what are some services which it can be very good valuation system, not just appoint somebody and get a report. Secondly, specialized risk management services. When I say specialized, industry specific leaders, someone would be helping our clients to look into their risks. So whenever in future the terms of IIB changes, they are benefited. Currently, it is difficult, if you can ask me. And whether we have spoken out about this, yes. Whether there is something in the mind of the treaty leader, I am not privy to that, one. Secondly, it is not necessary for anybody to follow the IIB rate. It is just your reinsurer what they want. If the reinsurer leader is okay that you don't have to, then it is fine. Since we are governed by our leader, which is GIC, so we follow that. I think this is, at this moment, this is the best we can do.
Right. So I believe most of the insurance companies in India are governed by, or the treaties are led by GIC. So that is one of the major reasons that all insurance companies are bound to more or less follow the GIC rates. Ma'am, thank you so much. Rather, I have a request to the guests. If you have any question, please put it on the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to have your questions. So please feel free to do so. Ma'am, the next question is, what is your advice to our clients who are there on the call? We have clients, we have international brokers, and we have risk managers from the global risk managers from other countries on the increase in pricing due to IIB rate implementation. As an
There
insurer,
is, no, I don't think there's an increase. It is just appropriate rating, I would say. I agree that the difference between good and bad is a very big bone of contention. Now, the good and bad is qualitative. Now, this qualitative definition has to be modified and sharpened over a period of time. That I admit. But to say that the prices have increased, not really. You know what? Even today, I think our prices are not as high as many of the rates I see in other global programs. And the question is, sometimes rates also vary from the portion that you would like to retain, which in our language we call it excess, or does it call it deductible? I think that helps in bringing down. The provision of that with us is very feeble. It is not a very strong point. And I don't agree that the prices are high. In fact, when we had the original tariff, before it became D-tariff, where all of us went berserk in giving huge discounts just to get some share in the market, I think that rate and today IIB rate, if you compare, we still are at a discounted regime. And in fact, the scientific part is that in sometimes some rates are being revised. It has gone down, some have gone up. Yes, the grievance is that you are considering a whole basket and you are coming up with one kind of rate. The feature discounts, etc., needs to be implemented. But to say the rates are high, if you compare with a 99% discount on the erstwhile tariff, then yes, but otherwise, no.
I completely agree, ma'am, with you that when I say increase in the rate, yes, it has increased as compared to 99. There is no doubt about it. But yes, as a client, our clients, they are habitual, you can say, over the last 10 years that they were getting those competitive rates, and suddenly the rates have gone up for them.
Yeah, but when these rates go up, you know, the other policies which come in addition to a standard fire are not rated at all, I would say. It's almost given free. It is like a very negligible rate. So we are just trying to balance. Maybe India has to witness something called an all risk policy where everything comes in. It's not the IAR. When I say all risk, it's all perils covered under one. Maybe those days things probably will not look the same as it is today. And innovations are always around and changes will keep coming. So let's hope that every client is happy after some time when there is a kind of modular insurance available. Now, when is that coming? What is happening? These are just thoughts that I have, but I am sure somebody is listening and something will happen.
Thank you so much. Atul, next question is for you. So as a leading P&C insurance broker, how did Allianz help its client while the rates went up drastically?
Thank you, Samir, for the question. And to begin with, a warm welcome to all our friends from Asia Pacific. As you mentioned, and as Anamika ma'am also mentioned, that this happened in 1st Jan 2020, and almost 40% of India's renewal, and that's no different for Allianz on the property side, renews on 1st April. So there was 3 months. We entered a lockdown on 23rd of March in India by the 22nd, 23rd March. So we were in a COVID lockdown, and IIB introduced and very limited time to recalibrate this. But what Allianz did was we physically inspected every risk of ours, because IIB makes it mandatory for a particular price to be quoted based on occupancy. So we wanted the right occupancy to be identified. We did that in a very thorough way, number one. Number two, valuations where they were undervalued or overvalued were brought at par, number two. Number three, for a lot of these policies allowed an underinsurance up to an X percentage. So few clients took advantage of it. That information was passed on to them. Last, we structured these policies very well. Let me give you an example of a particular large thermal power project, which is a client and which had a machinery breakdown cover of close to 700 million US dollars. And that machinery breakdown cover was charged under IIB. And when we did a valuation activity, we realized that out of that 700 million US dollars, almost 200 million US dollars were tubes and wires and components which are not subject to a machinery breakdown. So we spoke to the insurance companies, we got that 700 reduced to 500, got a specific endorsement in the policy that this will not be subject to under insurance, and we saved premium for the client. So it was right identification of the risk, right valuation activity, right kind of risk management advice and structuring. And a lot of clients took advantage of the waiver of under insurance up to a certain percentage, which was offered by most of the leading insurance companies, including IFFCO Tokyo, which has been a underwriter of choice for us, for not only their ability to work with the customers with regards to pricing it in the right manner, but also in terms of standing by them when they really need to pay up in the event of a claim. So choosing the right underwriters was also very important, because when your prices were going up, you are in a frozen price scenario. It's very important to work with the right kind of partner. While India has more than 20 insurance companies or 23 insurance companies who are into writing property and casualty. So it was very important to identify some of these activities. So I think our value-added services team who did inspections, valuations, restructuring, and all those activities, I think that during a COVID lockdown, in spite of that, we were out there doing these activities for the betterment of our customers.
Thank you, Arthur. Next question is again for you, and it is on your view on sustainability of IIB pricing.
As a broker and a distributor, we do not control the IIB pricing. But if you ask me personally, I don't see this being sustained. I believe there would be, as mentioned by Anamika, there would be need to distinguish good risk and bad risks. So I believe that change has to come. Today also, there are certain underwriters who do not have GIC as their treaty leader, and they are not duty bound to follow IIB. So in India, we have an IIB which is by and large followed, but there are good risks where other reinsurers other than GIC are happy to write, and they are not necessarily being followed by IIB. So there's already a non-IIB component being introduced. Alliance currently enjoys more than 60 such risks, which are parked in the last 4 months of this financial year outside the IIB rating. Maybe at a higher deductible, maybe on a loss limit, not on a total sum insured. These are structures which are available, and I believe these structures will be more and more available, and reinsurers and the national reinsurer will come up with flexibility within the IIB era. So if you ask me, is this the way life is going to be? I don't think so. There will be changes for the betterment. And as you know, my other panelist Anamika mentioned, investment into risk management is the key, because time has come that men and boys will need to be differentiated in the market, and good risk will be supported in a better manner with options of structuring, and bad risk will continue to pay the price.
Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you.
With this, we'll move to the next part of the webinar, which is Indian interest abroad. Can I have the next slide, please? So, over the past, maybe over a decade or so now, the Indian companies are also expanding their presence outside of India. They are investing heavily. Every year, we see more and more Indian companies who are investing outside of India. And the next slide gives us a broad idea of how our investment is has happened over a period of last 20 years. Can I have the next slide, please? So as you can see, there's a regular outflow of Indian capital into other countries, it's a very, very, for the last, you can say for the last 20 years, first few years were not very aggressive, but in the last 14, 15 years, a lot of Indian companies are going global, which gives us more opportunities for Indian interest abroad from insurance point of view. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is the data of from the Department of Economic Affairs, Government of India. So the data has been collated for the last 20 years, and there's a cumulative amount of actual overseas direct investment, as we call it in India, ODI, has been over 247 billion US. In top countries where the investment has gone into on our left hand side, that is Singapore, US, Netherlands, Mauritius. Okay, we will have to discount countries like Mauritius and maybe British Virgin Island, and because these are the routing countries, as all of us know. But yes, broadly you can see that these are the major countries, that is Singapore, US, Netherlands, and UK, UAE, Russia, Philippines, wherein Indian investments are flowing into. The top 10 industries where this investment is going or has gone in the last 20 years is financial services, IT, which is information technology, manufacturing, agri, mining, trade and hospitality, communication, construction, energy, community and social services, and all of the remaining are clubbed as one. So on this, we as Alliance, we are the leading insurance broker in India, which manages around over 50 global programs of Indian multinational companies, and we are expanding our presence in this particular segment by a huge margin. Every day we are focusing more and more on underwriting, or more and more on placing global programs of Indian multinational companies. So, ma'am, before we move to Arthur, I have a question for you on this Indian interest abroad. You have extensive experience of working in Indian insurance industry. Like, what is your experience with Indian MNCs with regards to their approach towards global program?
I don't think in India we have a robust global program. What I think you mentioned about your managing, etc., are that you try to stitch their things with people spread across wherever the companies have had their interest, in terms of, you know, having a tie-up with a local broker or local maybe another insurance company there. Typically what happens, the reverse, when we get some kind of information or request for a global MNC, they typically have a program that they're worldwide, so much of asset is there, this is the premium, they get the premium check there itself, sometimes the amount, then the part of the amount comes to us like a reinsurance, like, and it is basically the interest here, and they keep adjusting the entire portfolio based on loss ratio. So the advantage is very big, because maybe in one country there is some loss, maybe in a pandemic something got missed out in some company, then there are something called, you know, difference in condition and difference in deductible, that also helps covering certain losses which may not have got paid under a local paper. So those things are in a well laid out global program, if that's the correct way of looking at it. Now in India, what we are trying to do, in the absence of any kind of format like this, we say, okay, you have factories where? In Africa. You have factories where? You have in Dubai, or you have somewhere else. What I will do, I will arrange everything for you. That indeed is not a global program. That is like helping, or I would say assisting our clients who are Indians and have interests abroad. I think a lot of work would have to be done here how we make a pool of premium of the entire risk and then seek how we can even to implement difference in conditions and difference in deductible within Indian policies. And I don't think we have actually matured to that extent of building it. What happened, you see, India is growing today, and our what I would call maybe the matured markets like the United States or France or it is UK, other European countries, what happened? Their companies came here to our soil and maybe others also long ago, even before independence, and they set a factory. So they had that clarity and vision. Okay, we'll do this, and allocation of the premium goes to India. Maybe India requires a local paper, so that premium allocation is sent out. There is a mandate, and then you do your business normally. And many a times it also goes back as a reinsurance. So this was the arrangement. Now, do we have this arrangement today here? No, we don't have. So how do we service? Like in my experience of the services I have done of very big accounts, what we did is we definitely took a help of a broker. And what did the broker do? The broker, maybe some companies, not my current organization, but other companies, what we were able to do very successfully was stitch up that program with our partner there in another country through the broker who is in India. One. Second, why is it beneficial for the customer to get it done? It is beneficial because in a foreign land, sometimes you're not very familiar with the laws. And at the same time, when it comes to some big claims, you don't know whom to turn to. In that situation, the local broker in India helps a lot in kind of coordinating things between India and international, whoever is a broker or an insurance company. I think that's why Indian brokers will play a very big role in helping you to coordinate things. Maybe we are still here waiting for some kind of a format of writing a global program, but it is matured enough that the local brokers can do great work in terms of coordinating internationally to place as well as when there are claims. And I would always recommend have a broker there because it is easy for someone here locally to help you coordinate, understand laws, understand how recovery processes take place, how local papers, whether they're correctly issued or not, at times of claim, how the money transactions are going to happen. I think there are a lot of technicalities involved in this kind of business. And keeping one broker for this entire business is fantastic. I think that is something I would always recommend. And I have seen many customers, they say, okay, हमारे यहाँ पे तो, in our country, okay, he is the person, but I have a factory in Egypt, or I have something to do in Nigeria, but X and Y are the brokers there. No, then it is very difficult to move like that. So those are things which you need to keep in mind when you're talking about how to cater to your insurance requirement in the foreign land. Although you are originally, all your policy strategies happen in India. And that is why I must recommend be very clear in who you choose, what is the kind of insurance, who is vetting your policies. I have vetted quite a few policies. You know, they just go somewhere, they just pick up somebody, a local paper hona chahiye. That local paper does not even contain half the requirement that you really want to be covered. I think these things can be helped, like people like Alliance and all, who with, Magori madam is there, like to technically vet the document. I think it's very important right now, because right now India does not have a framework for putting together a global program and actually doing that reinsurance kind of facility and working with someone. So this is the current situation, and in the current situation, this is the best advice I have given you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Arthur, as Alliance, what are the challenges with regards to stitching global program for Indian multinational companies?
Thank you, Samir. I think this is a very, very interesting area and a focus area for Alliance. We currently operate across 16 cities. We serve more than 3,600 corporates, and 7% of these corporates are multinational. When I say multinational, I mean these are Indian multinationals. And out of that 7%, 70% of those 7%, we are currently broking on a global program with them. As you mentioned, these are close to 250 clients across various sectors, across various countries. Some of them we identified this opportunity into two parts: employee benefit and the benefit program, and property casualty and the liability programs. So Alliance enjoys these two different teams who come with huge experience of, and a dedicated team which come with huge experience of structuring these solutions. As Anamika ma'am rightly mentioned, it is very important to have a single point of contact, a single point of responsibility, a single structure, and a DIC, DIL local laws in place. And that's exactly what Alliance does for those 250 clients where we serve them across the globe. I think Indian companies are constantly expanding, as even shown by your analysis on the presentation shown earlier, across the globe. A lot of this investment is happening in Japan, in Korea, in Singapore, in the UAE, in the US, in the Europe, in various parts of the world. And fortunately, with the help of our broker partners, with the help of global reinsurers, and with the help of structures which are allowing us to put this program in place, we are one of the unique brokers in India to drive this proposition, number one. Number two, Samir and ma'am, Anamika ma'am, I'd like to take this opportunity and to our guests to tell Alliance has invested heavily into a strong technology platform. This means that all your policies, local laws, DIC, DIL, your policy copies, your claim scenarios, your deposits, your currencies in which you operate, all this is available in a dashboard for the risk manager sitting in India. Which local broker, which local underwriter is responsible for a risk in Korea, for example, for a risk in Singapore, for example, and who is the common reinsurer, if any. All these data points are available on a click of a button, which allows the risk manager in India to very easily navigate and coordinate this across all his locations, including track claims and claim settlements, and monitor overall loss ratios at a global level, which, as you rightly mentioned, it allows you to then negotiate at the end of the year whether you've lost money in one country, but you made the reinsurer money in the balance 3 countries. Are you in a position to renew your programs more effectively next year? Of course, that's the objective. So it's a major area of focus for us. We're seeing more and more Indian companies which are expanding outside India, and they all are looking for a solution which Alliance is very well posed to not only service inward business on behalf of our partners, where they are relying on us to provide this technology platform, wellness activities, risk management activities, and the right service claims and price points, but also vice versa, where the Indian clients are operating outside India. We've built a robust infrastructure and we are constantly trying to improve that infrastructure, different for employee benefits and different for property and casualty and liability, to achieve this end objective, as rightly mentioned by her in what she mentioned earlier. So that's our vision and our focus on this piece of business, Samir.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you.
There is one question somebody has put in the chat box, and I'll take that question now. Can an insurer having treaty with GIC still place risk directly in international market? Yes, you can. You can actually first go to GIC with the rate that you want, and if GIC refuses, it's called that choice, like the first choice that you have to give. And GIC has no problem, because if you can get international market to quote for you, they don't have an issue of placing it outside, but the first choice will have to be with GIC. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Radha, I would request our guests to please post their questions on the chat box, and we'll be more than happy to.
And there were some more questions which said that how many companies, I don't want to mention my competitors' names here. I think our first three big ones who are our leaders in the sector, they do have their treaty of property, etc., not placed with GIC. They have gone out of GIC. There are many companies whose treaty is now no more led by GIC. Some companies, yes, some company, no. But GIC definitely participates in everyone's program at some level, I would say.
Thank you, Anna. And with this, we'll move to our next part, or the third part of the webinar. So I would request my colleagues to play the video. This video is a testimony of our clients. The clients, what their experiences with Allianz, how Allianz has supported them over a period of time. Can I have the video, please?
We have more than 50 nationals, international educators in the world. When we choose to work overseas, there are a lot of gray areas, especially the insurance. What we found from Allianz, that they had a great spirit of innovation. They were risk takers. They had a spirit of collaboration. On top of all this, a big amount of transparency. And before Allianz, all these insurance needs were served from overseas. When we worked with Allianz, as part of the renovation, they did a great job of bringing the insurance products, services and solutions which we had to bring from overseas to India. Point that we have been together for 6 years is that there is some value, some unique value that Allianz has brought. That's why we are together. We are not easy to renew contracts, okay? And I'm happy to share that working with Allianz in insurance has been a great experience.
I think the big business for us has been in cricket, where we have talked of values of 1,000 crores plus, and we have got the best deal from through Allianz. Well, I think the main thing with Allianz has been it's been a solution provider. I remember some couple of years ago, we had a particularly difficult claim where one of the private underwriters actually had raised some objections, and Allianz played a big role in ensuring that this claim was processed and the entire amount was settled. So that, I think, is some the part of the value that I look at when I say that Allianz brings value to the table.
So I think over a journey of 10 years, everybody understands that insurance is not necessarily the nicest subject to speak about, because whenever there is a claim, it usually isn't for something very pleasant. But in my limited experience with all of you, you have made it quite a pleasurable journey, and you have always gone out of the way to support your clients in any manner, and I will always remember that. Both our teams are aware of all the instances. I don't need to list them down right now, but you can be rest assured that you have one happy customer.
Dimexon as an organization is present across multiple jurisdictions. We're present in Antwerp, Dubai. In India, we're present in 3 locations spread across India, in Hong Kong, in Shanghai. This means multiple currencies, multiple legal jurisdictions. We're happy to have Allianz work with us in all of these jurisdictions, and we remain comforted to the fact that they are protecting us with their great understanding and depth of our business through the insurance products that they give us. Dimexon as an organization has an annual revenue that is close to $500 million, and for a business of this size and scale, we really needed a partner that could understand the complexity, size, as well as the depth of the business in the midstream part of the pipeline, which I'm happy to say that Alliance has over the years gained an excellent knowledge of.
I'm Anush Raghavan. I am the president and head of the cash management business at CMS. I've been in the company for about 12 years now. We are India's largest ATM management and payment systems company and the 5th largest globally. Our relationship with Alliance goes back to almost 6 to 7 years, which is for most parts of the time that I've been in CMS. And Arthur and his team have just been fantastic partners to work with. Amongst many other things, if I had to count 2 areas where their role has been indispensable to us. The first is they're acting as a very effective bridge between the Indian market and the reinsurance market in being able to articulate the uniqueness of certain things that happen in the country and converting that into a language which underwriters understand from a risk perspective. I think they've done a fantastic job on that. And the second thing is, many times you tend to not appreciate the role people play because they're doing such a good job of it and allowing you to focus and do your own job. And I think from that perspective, Alliance has just been fantastic in being able to keep control of our risk cost and maintain an extremely steady focus on that and help us in effective claims management. They've allowed me and my team to focus on running the business.
Thank you so much. Arthur, it's been a long journey, not a very long journey actually, when you look back at 17 years of Alliance's existence, and in a short span of 17 years, such tremendous achievements are rarely seen in our market. So we would like to hear from you, why is it that our clients are so happy with us? What services as Alliance are we offering so that is keeping them so tied up to us that they are there with us for the past so many years?
Samir, thank you for this question. And that's what you call the secret sauce of the business. I believe our strength lies in our ecosystem. Our insurers whom we partner with, like IFFCO Tokyo, our internal teams where we take a lot of pride in. I think we have the best brain power the country has to offer, which work with Alliance. Our customers who believe in us because they know our advice is going to be towards their risk management and risk transfer needs. And the investments that we make in the business. I can very proudly say, while we would be among the top independent broker and among the top 5 brokers in the country, no broker has the capital available to invest into the business that Alliance has today. We are very heavily funded by 3 private equity funds that give us the much needed capital to deploy into technology, into risk management, into the right kind of teams, into the right kind of solution providing approaches. And all of this is a byproduct of what we bring on board. To give you an example, let me show you some of these slides. Across the 3,600 corporates that we acquired, this is an audit analysis of what these clients were before we acquired them. 50% of them were priced higher than the market, 40% were very well priced, 10% were lower priced because of the wrong rating. So they were not priced financially. Number one. Number two, if you look at the left side of the slide, the technical value add that we created, there were missing critical covers, valuation issues, open exposures, stringent conditions put by underwriters with regards to claim settlement, incorrect risk occupancy. I spoke about this activity which we did during the IIB era, and most important, understanding of the client's business. These were some of the strengths that we brought on board for the customers. Go next. We also realized claim settlement is a major challenge. A lot of business historically has been with underwriters where claim settlement has not been very smooth, and that's where Alliance is very well experienced and a large claims team comes into play. Almost 15% of our overall strength is claim settlement, non-employee benefits. And a lot of even insurers would not have this size of claim schemes. And that's where our strength of mock claim analysis, SLAs, panel of surveyors, and hand-holding the entire claim process has played a very critical role in the client's confidence in us in terms of broking with us and not worrying about the right kind of coverages, price of claims. Go next. Another challenge is the speed of claim settlement. It's not just whether you are able to settle the claim, but how fast are you able to settle the claim? And that's where, very proudly we say almost 50% of our claims get settled within 90 days of intimation, while the market standard would be less than 5%. 25% would get settled within 6 months, while the market would be at 30%. And only a 20% would move beyond 6 months. That means 80% of our claims are getting settled between 90 days to 180 days of intimation. Of course, the timelines differ based on reinstatements, speed at which the documents are submitted, but we have a dedicated team when a claim comes, which is also deployed at the customer's end, not at the loss adjuster or the insurer's end, at the customer's end to handhold the customer to prepare the right documents, to submit the right data points and as fast as possible. And that is where the mock claim plays a very important role, because every time we onboard a customer, we do a mock claim to check his systems, readiness to give information, and preparedness. So all these activities put together, the capital that we can deploy, the trust our underwriters have in us, the teams, and the opportunity our clients give us to exclusively service them. I think it's a combination of all these small points which come up together, and that's what we say the trust is. That's when the trust is created, and that's when the magic begins. And that's what allows us to continue to service these customers. We operate at a 98% retention rate over the average last 10 years. And with 99.9% of our business coming on without any global mandates. It comes from either partner reference or the business generated on the ground. And this entire $152 million of direct premium and close to $50 million of reinsurance premium, this entire $200 million of placement that we do is purely based on the trust and the ability to deliver value on the ground.
Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you. Anamika ma'am, I have a question for you. The ITGI, that is IFFCO Tokio General Insurance, and Alliance's relationship is it's quite matured and seasoned. What is your experience with Alliance Insurance?
Very persuasive in what they want. I think they can, hound us in the middle of the night also if they want something for their customer. So they definitely are very true to the cause of their customer while they pursue the interest of the customer and with a career. Because we are, frankly, what are we? We are just carrying the risk, right? So that is number one. Number two, they understand their customers' needs very well. And I think when it comes to claims also, they service extremely well. They are always there to not leave their customer alone. They handhold the customer along with what they kind of bridge the requirement between an insurance company versus a requirement of the customer. I think these are the three things which anybody requires in a broking community. And I think Alliance tops it all. So that's the feedback I can give you on our experience with Alliance, especially Madam. So all the time, whenever a proposal comes from Alliance, we are always alert. If you don't act on time, you'll be hounded very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think they've done extremely well, and all our good wishes, and I hope they prosper even more in the coming years. And anyway, Indian market is changing. So maybe another 10 years, brokers will be more prominent than an insurance company. I think insurance companies will shrink and remain just a carrier, and I think the brokers will be the frontline operators. It is just changing slowly, and it will happen. And then Alliance will have a bigger office than even IFCO Tokyo. And more staff than IFCO Tokyo. It's bound to happen, whether we like or we don't like, and that's the change that has happened.
Gauri ma'am, I would request your words. We are almost done. We have almost a few minutes left, but yes, we would like to hear from you on your thoughts about the webinar, about anything, whatever you would want to discuss.
First of all, I would like to thank everybody, all the participants for joining in and staying logged on. I think we had a very, very fruitful discussion. I think the answers given by Madam Anamika were really insightful, and we really thank her for her time. I know how busy she is in Tokyo. And one thing I cannot avoid saying, even though this may not be the right forum, I must really thank Ms. Anamika and her team for the wonderful support that we've been getting from Tokyo. And I must thank you, ma'am. But this is true, we have been getting good support from the insurance market here as well as abroad. And I think as both Anamika ma'am and Arthur have been mentioning, the whole insurance industry is moving more structured, more technical, and more professional every day, every year. So and for me personally, it's been a pleasure, and I learn something every day. I mean, after spending so many years, I still feel what I know is hardly a pebble in the entire environment. So, and this opens up. Now, the industry is really opening up, and the opportunities are huge. It's vast. The amount of, and I also find that the international market also is finding the Indian insurance market and the techniques here very attractive and inviting. So the markets are opening up both ways, and the opportunities are huge. And it will be a pleasure to work with the brokers and clients abroad both ways to ensure their interest here and to take our interest there. I think we are, as industry, it's still a sunrise industry. We are still moving ahead, moving forward, and it's going to be a pleasure. I really envy the youngsters in the industry. They have so much more to learn and do in this industry now. It's opening up. I think that's it.
Thank you. With this, thank you so much. We are just 2 minutes over our time schedule. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Anamika, ma'am. Thank you, Arthur. And thank you to all the attendees for taking out your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day and have a great weekend, which will start tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.